are back at Death Valley. OXCR round number 7. Conditions are pretty good actually. It's pretty humid, not horribly hot, and you can see that the dirt is it's Death Valley, so even dry it's slick here, but it's a little bit moist. Some of the track here has, especially down this area right through here, those of you that rode, you'll notice hard pack and slick on top. So first couple of laps when it was still fairly wet, it was still pretty slick through here. So just kind of like I normally do here at the beginning, just kind of feeling things out first before I go too crazy here, and just kind of want to get a feel for the woods before we start to push a little bit too much. So I'm kind of already looking for a way by here, but the woods are Death Valley woods. It is really slick. These rocks are just crazy slick. So if this was your first year at Death Valley, you get to see what I mean. This is actually my favorite race of the year. I just like the technical aspect of this race. It's just a balance between knowing when to try to go fast and knowing when to just be happy that you are on two wheels and keep moving. So it's just kind of knowing when to push and when not to push, and it's still a little bit early, but I want to make a pass here, so I made a quick little pass there and then give this guy a little bump and help him get going again. Looks like that's maybe Chad down right there. He got a really good start and was running really good, but he must have got a little rock on the front end or something, and that's how it is here, right? Like that. You can see that you get these funny little bounces all the time, and it'll send you in a completely weird direction really quick. That's generally what happens here. There were plenty of little tree stumps sticking up too that they didn't cut off very close, so I'm kind of seen a line down to the left there and thought I might get to squeeze by, and as soon as I went down that line, I bumped that tree with my handlebar, and I think I kind of got a rock on the front wheel at the same time, so it kind of sent me into a little sapling there. But yeah, so far at this point I can tell that it's going to be pretty much just typical for Death Valley. Doesn't really matter how dry it is anywhere else. Back in these super thick woods, it is slick and wet, and the rocks are just crazy slick. So I don't think this guy was in our row. I think I've caught up to him and got a little spot up here that I pass him at that I've made passes on just about every lap. Right here I was able to just kind of sneak by a little bit. Kind of being held up there a little bit and kind of want to try to start pulling away. At this point right now, I'm pretty sure that I'm leading in my class. There was a couple of guys, maybe one or two guys, maybe two guys that are ahead of me right now, but I don't think either one of them were in the Masters class. So here again, catching up to people pretty quick, and right here I'm kind of encouraging this guy to not stop in the middle of the course. One kind of trick here is just kind of keep moving. All this uphill stuff and everything else, if you come to a stop, it's super tough to get going, and even the slightest off camber is hard to just kind of keep in the groove that you want to be in. I think the track was pretty similar to years past. Not sure if any of the same lines. I'm sure there were. It's kind of hard to tell here. But some of this stuff definitely looked a little bit new too, and you could see where there was some chicken heads sticking up in the trail, and so if the rocks weren't bad enough, you were encountering these 3, 4, 5 inch little stumps that were sticking up too. So that was a lot of fun. And of course here, lots and lots of off camber. So I feel pretty good. This is the first lap, and I'm feeling pretty good right now, but it does not continue. I'm just kind of running on some adrenaline right now. I got a phone call that I had to take at 5:30 in the morning, Saturday morning, and I never slept after that. So, and it was a long week anyway. So my second and let's see, I think I ran 6 laps. So first lap I felt pretty good. Second lap I felt okay. Third and fourth lap I just felt like I had no energy whatsoever, and it was a struggle. But at this point right now I'm feeling pretty good, and OXCR has moved the last 2 races on me to Sundays, and I cannot race on a Sunday. So I've missed the last 2 races in this, so we're at round number 7. So I'm kind of feeling the need to try to place well in this race. Being the fact that I like this track, feeling pretty good, but later on in the race, that lack of sleep really creeps up on me, and I'm really struggling with third and fourth laps. And Dave gets by me, and Chris gets by me, and then later on in the race, after I kind of started getting on the 5th lap, I started getting the second wind, and I thought it was going to be the last lap. So I pushed really, really hard on the 5th lap and caught back up to Dave and tried in 2 different spots to get by him, and ended up sliding off the track on an uphill on the 5th lap, which I really thought was the last lap, and really just messed up my heart rate. You guys know how that goes. Kind of pushed really hard and then had to push my bike back onto the track and try to get going on a hill, and just completely screwed up my heart rate and everything else. And then I get up to scoring, and it's I still have another lap. So I thought, oh man, I had another whole lap that I could have been a little bit more patient. But it's the way that goes. They never said whether we were running an hour and a half or 2 hours, so didn't really know. But getting out into a flat track section here, and pretty fun. I pretty much enjoyed the track. I mean, this gave you a little bit of opportunity to kind of rest just a little bit from all the technical stuff back in the woods. So, little grass track here, go around a corner, and then do a couple things, and then drop right back down into the woods. Again, the first lap, this stuff was a little bit slicker than it was later on in the race. Later on in the race, you could really kind of push a little bit harder on this stuff. Like this turn here was pretty slick. Everybody was parked up on the top of the hill this year instead of down here, so it was just kind of weird. Everything felt a little bit different than the last 3 years. So here we come around the corner, we drop right back down into the woods, and this is probably the worst entrance into the woods because it's just a lot of loose rock and super, super slick. I think on maybe the 3rd lap, I came around that corner back there and fell over, and that's when Dave got by me. And let's see, I think actually later here in this video, I think Chris is going to pass me on I'm trying to think now. We'll figure it out when we get up to it. But Chris gets by me. I think maybe I get off in a ditch a little bit. He gets by me, and then I get back by him. And he gets back by me later on in the race when I'm kind of struggling. And then I'm not quite sure what happened to Chris. He only ran a lap less than Dave and I was kind of surprised because he was riding really good today. So not quite sure what happened there. But so again, we're still catching up to rows ahead of us. This guy's probably an intermediate heavy, if I had to guess. I caught up with a few of those guys. And this is not a track where you want to get off into the tall grass or try to pass somebody. It's just not. You want to know what your front end is doing, because this place is like right here. I mean, if I would have another 6 inches and I would have been off into the abyss down there. That's how this place is. If you get off kind of the main line, you're in for a trip. Just about every year that I come here, I have to adjust my front end rebound dampening just a little bit, and this was no difference. I put a few extra clicks on my rebound dampening during the race, and my front end settled down and felt better. So what I've kind of found at this particular race is you really just got to kind of be ready to get a pass at any point. And I think right there, spun out just enough that here you got to take any opportunity you got for a pass. You have to take it, because otherwise you're trying to pass out on the grass track, and pretty much everybody's fast on the grass track. So better to pass in the woods if you can. So catching up to more people here, and just about got in trouble here because this guy went to let me by and just about got into the rear of him there. That would have been bad. That was a super tough turn right there the whole race. It was like a downhill off-camber 90, and it was super slick. That was a tough little downhill right here, just dealing with the rocks and stuff. Right here, you can tell I wasn't really even moving that fast. But yet, man, you get your front end off at all, and then you're done. So this is where Chris gets by me, and you could see, I seen Dave's wheel right there to the right. So I was about a half a bike length from getting past from both of those guys right there. Luckily, I was able to get back up on the course pretty quick. But now Chris is ahead of me. Looks like he takes a bad line up here, and I pretty quickly get back by him. So we're running in second now, as far as I know. So right there, he got off of his line or broke loose a little bit or something, so I was able to sneak back by him. So back in first. And still at this point, I'm feeling fairly good. So I ended up second today. You didn't read that on the video there. Dave ended up in first place, and like I said, I chased him for about 3/4 of a lap on the 5th lap, and did a little bit of rubbing trying to sneak by him twice, and yeah, second time I ended up off the track a little bit, and that was pretty much it. Once I pushed my bike back onto the track, and that was it. I couldn't. The day was over, so I ended up in second. Dave got first, and I believe Chris got third. Those guys got a bit of an advantage on me since, like I said, OXCR moved 2 races to Sunday that I couldn't race, so those guys both got 2 races on me. So was hoping to come out of Death Valley with a first is really what I wanted. And probably if I was a little more patient, I might have been able to sneak by Dave somewhere, but it is what it is. It was a fun race, and tough conditions. Pretty wore out at the end of this race. This little uphill over here is always tough every year. Later in the race, normally there's 3 or 4 bikes at least down here trying to get up this hill on every lap. Looks like there's a couple up there right now, so looking for a way to get by this guy here. Again, just the slightest little bobble. That's what you're after right there. You got to be close enough that slightest little bobble and you can sneak by. Coming back out into the open stuff here a little bit. Drop over this valley and then go through a couple of turns and then head back into scoring. So I finally got Zach to wear a GoPro, so we'll be getting Zach's footage up too. Zach got second in pro. He had a pretty good race. His spike wouldn't start on the starting line again, so we're going to be dealing with that here in the next week or two and get that taken care of. I think there were, I can't remember how many pros there were, maybe 6 or something like that, but he ended up getting second, and I think he was like maybe 2 minutes behind Levi, something like that. So he had a pretty good race. He needs some tires, so that would have helped him, but get them taken care of here too. So sneaking up the timing and scoring here. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and looks like we will be running Psycho next. See y'all later.